Taking care of a infant is actually quite easy. The problem is if you have a nurse like Jean Jones that's taking care of your child.
We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at texasmobilenotarymindy.com. That's TX, mobilenotarymindy.com. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Me Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on, we thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to go over Jean Jones. She was a Texas nurse, and she's a horrible, horrible woman. Anyways, let us begin. Her early life, there wasn't that much on her. Jones was adopted by a nightclub owner and his wife. She worked as a beautician before attending nursing school in 1970. She was married to her sweetheart between 1968 and 1974, and they had one child. Relationship ended in divorce. 3 years later, Jones and her husband reconciled, and the other had another child in 1977. And just before her indictment, she did marry a 19-year-old nursing assistant, and he filed for divorce sometime later. Now, the full emphasis on this. Jones worked as a licensed vocational nurse in LVN and Bexar County Hospital, now the University Hospital of San Antonio, and the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. A statistically improbable number of children died under her care. Because the hospital feared of being sued, it was simply asked all of its LVNs, including Jones, to resign, and the staff of pediatric ICU exclusively was registered nurse. No further investigations were pursued by that hospital. Jones left and took possession of a pediatric clinic in Carsville, Texas, some 60 miles northwest of San Antonio. It was here that she was charged with poisoning 6 children. The doctor in the office discovered 2 puncture marks in the bottle of psilocybin. Stephanie Hawking, help me out this. Psilocybin?
Succinylcholine.
Succinylcholine. In the drugstores, there were where only she and Jones had access. The drug is a powerfully short-acting paralytic that causes temporary paralysis in all skeletal muscles, as well as those that control breathing. This is the second case I've heard of that drug was some kind of form of that drug was used. The one that we did first was Vicky Dawn Johnson. But the drug is used in parts of a general anesthesiac. Uh, anesthesia. Dyslexia is hitting me up again.
Anesthetic.
Anesthetic. God, I don't know why I had a hard time with that word. Anesthetic. The patient could not breathe while being influenced with this drug. In small children, cardiac arrest is the ultimate result of deoxygenation due to lack of respiratory function. Content Contents of the apparent full bottle were later found with she double dosed the drug.
Anectine.
Volume was 5/16 diluted with saline solution. God, she double. It's the same drug. It's just a different name. Jones claims she tried to stimulate the creation of pediatric intensive care unit in Cornsville. Basically, she tried to do it second. Now, her prosecution in 1985, Jones was originally sentenced to 99 years in prison for killing 15-month-old Chelsea McLean with the drug. She was subsequently charged with harming Brady Bates on August 27th, Chris Parker, Jimmy Pearson on August 30th, Misty, I'm going to get this name right. Sorry. I'm not going to get this name right.
Riachana.
On September 3rd, Jacob Evans on September 17th. All incidents charges that the nurse intently and knowingly injured the child by injecting them with psilocybin or some other drug. Later that year, she was sentenced to concurrent terms of 60 years in prison for nearly killing Ronaldo Santos with herpesipharylin. Is a medical and natural occurring glucose melatonin. It's blood anticoagulant that increases the activity of anamorphins. Is used in the treatment of heart attacks and unstable angina. I'm not a scientist. As of May 2016, Jones was held in Lane Murray Unit and of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ. She had been scheduled for mandatory release in 2018 due to Texas state law meant to prevent prison overcrowding. To avoid this, Jones was indicted on May 25th, 2017 for a murder of a 11-month-old Joshua Sawyer. Nico LaHood, Baxter County District Attorney, stated that additional charges could be filed in the deaths of other children due to this mandatory early release law covering Jerome's original conviction. She would otherwise have been released upon completion of a third of her original sentence. The new charges were filed to prevent her release. Thank God for people doing their freaking job and making sure evil is not on the streets. In April 2018, Judge in San Antonio denied a request to dismiss 5 new murder incidences against Jones. On January 16th, 2020, Jones pleaded guilty to the murder of 11-month-old Joshua Sawyer. On December 12th, 1981, as part of a plea bargain, which 4 other charges were dropped. She was sentenced to life imprisonment, and she is not eligible for parole until she is roughly 87. Now, iconic horror writer Stephen King has stated that in interviews, the intelligent antagonist of his standalone novel Misery, Annie Winkles, is an inspiration in parts of Jones. Now, there is another thing that got her into more time was the fact that she basically told us herself. But anyways, in a newly obtained letter sent to Texas authorities, Jean Jones, the former nurse suspected of killing more than a dozen infants. By the way, it wasn't a dozen instances. She was prosecuted for dust innocence. She actually stated she killed like 51 kids. Apologized for the damage that I have done, all because of my crime. This marks the first time that Jones, who has maintained her innocence, seeming to acknowledge guilt for her alleged crimes. In March 2011, Jones authorized a letter to the Texas Board of Nursing from prison. I look back now on what I did and agreed with you now that it was heinous and I was heinous. Jones wrote the letter came to as a surprise to prosecutors who had brought new charges against Jones to prevent her from scheduled March 2018 release from prison. Jones, who was convicted in 1984 of murdering a toddler and injuring a month-old baby in 1984, admitted maintaining her innocence during her criminal trials and 2 prison interviews in 1987. She was since left standing instructions with prison officials to decline media requests. My only defense is that I was not of sound mind then and any time before 1994. Jones wrote in a letter that is not an excuse for just a fact. God, in his infinite wisdom and mercy, granted me a sound mind upon receiving him as Lord and Lord of my life. In case of Genene Jones, now 66, once dubbed as the angel of death with a needle, had dramatically resurfaced over the past 5 weeks. A Baxter County grand jury had indicted her for murder in the early 1980s, death of 4 children in a pediatric intensive care unit in San Antonio County Hospital, where she once worked. Uh, 2 new murder charges were handed down Thursday. The indictment resulted for a fresh investigation into more than a dozen suspected deaths during that period, led by new district attorney Nicholas Nico LaHood. After the jury found her guilty in 1984, Jones was sentenced to 99 years for the murder of 15-month-old Chelsea McLean, who died after Jones injected her with a powerful muscle relaxant at a pediatric clinic in Cornsville. Jones had gone to work after the San Antonio hospital. Suspects that she had harmed children sent her off with a good recommendation. See, it could have been stopped at that hospital if they actually did an investigation, but they didn't want to get sued. Jones later received a 66-year sentence to run concurrently for nearly killing 1-month-old Renardo Santos. We already went over that. At the time, the Baxter County DA suspect her involving in other murder of children, but declined to bring charges. The reason that the cases were being to be too difficult to prove that Jones' 90-year sentence guaranteed that she'd spend the rest of life in prison. Responding to a growing public uproar, DA LaHood began bringing new murder charges in late May to prevent her release. Jones will be transferred to Baxter County Jail ahead of March 2018 and held there until trial unless she was able to post a $1 million appearance bond set for the new charges. In the new murder indictment on Thursday, the grand jury accused Jones of killing 8-month-old Ricky Nelson in July 1981 and 4-month-old Patrick Zolva in January 1982 by injecting each of the babies with a substance unknown. And we now know what it was. After learning that about Jones' letter on Wednesday, Assistant DA Jason Gross, who led the DA trial team, said he planned to tell the grand jury about it Thursday, in addition to preventing testimonies from Zolva's mother. It is not clear exactly how Jones' newly disclosed 2011 letter, which was received and quietly filed away, will affect her plea cases at the trial. Jill was not yet entered a plea. By the way, she was found guilty. But DA Gross said that it was a confession. It's a big deal. It's an incredible, important piece of the evidence. We already knew she was guilty. The fact that she's saying it to the nursing board was strengthening that belief. Just the fact that she acknowledged that, meaning she is not an innocent person in her mind. LaHood and Baxter DA said Jones' profession of faith is not relevant to the question of whether she is facing additional charges. Forgiveness and an extraordinary. Stephanie Harkin, I'm going to need a little bit of help on this.
Exonerated.
Exonerated are two different things, said LaHood, is himself a vocal Christian. Can she be forgiven? Absolutely. Can she be exonerated? No. I cannot forgive her and still want her to take her last bath behind bars. It does not change what we're going to do. Now, in the letter, they have a posted on of the letter here. Let's see here. Okay. It is stated, Dear Mrs. Sony, I am the recipient of your letter, but in total bafflement over its contents. What does the board have to do with me after almost 28 years of incarceration? My license was suspended almost approximately 5 years after my conviction. I have not applied for a renewal in almost 30 years. That alone should have brought any matter concerning that license before the board's attention. It is ludicrous to begin to believe that the FBI has no idea where I have been for the last 28 years with their vast electrical network. Anyone can Google and find out all they want to know about me. I do not have the information you request at my disposal. You seem to have all uh, permanent information. You obviously have my current address as I am a recipient of this letter. As a response, I would like to take the opportunity to apologize to the board and to the nurses it represents for the damage I did to all because of my crime. My only defense is that I am not in sound mind then, anytime before 1994. This is not an excuse for the fact. God and his, and this is just, if you look at the letter online, you can actually look at the letter online. The letter online, it looks like she tried to erase it and type it again. It's all in type, so it's from a typewriter. But God, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, grant me a sound mind upon receiving Him as Lord of my life. It took back now on what I did and agree with you that it was that I was heinous. But God's mercy is new every morning to remind me that I am forgiven by Him. And I pray someday you will forgive me also. I have no plans of ever renewing my nursing in my lifetime or a license that I am sure. If you record, if your records go back that far, was revoked somewhere down the line of time. If you need anything more of me, please let me know. Sincerely, Jeannie Jones. Now, though separated by decades, Jeannie's letter was entirely at odds with her long held instance about her innocence. She pleaded not guilty on both her trials in 1984 and the days after her conviction for the McLennan murder. Jones, who had declined to testify, spoke to reporters for hours and happily posted for photography. I'm not afraid of jail because I am innocent. She's declared if I had spent 99 years in solitary, I could live with myself because I didn't do anything. But the letter reverts that, and actually, she found herself guilty. Anyways, everybody, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for all for watching. Goodbye.